And we're here, Edison Now, for a very special edition. Very special edition here, Edison Now tonight. It is the anniversary of the Suez vote. And I don't want anybody to hear from me, everybody. We got some special guests here tonight. And I'd like to introduce Mayor candidate for Edison, Keith Hahn, and Council Member Rich Brescher. And thanks so much for joining us. This is quite a feat for the town. To be able to come together and and see the results. Right.
I remember this time 2 years ago. I think I called Rich and was extremely concerned about it going the other way. And you felt really confident. You were pretty confident.
I did.
You were pretty confident, and it ended up being what was it, Keith? 8-2 or 8-1?
9-1.
9-1.
It was really something. Nobody thought it was going to be that big of a victory.
Yeah.
Right. And then we had a lot of Edison residents just come out and sign petitions.
There was a big turnout for that day though too, right? The amount for an off.
Well, it was almost 11,000 people, and for a special election in the middle of September when there was nothing else going,
right?
It was really. I think it started right from the beginning when we started having the town hall meetings and signing events every night. And Anthony and Jerry and myself, we were out there every day beating the drum, day in and day out, and it really just caught on. People, the people in Edison are educated. They have common sense, and they know when they're getting sold a bag of goods.
Let's start there. Rich, we're first aware of this of Suez, or you heard the Suez name. At what point in time was that?
I'm gonna go back to probably a year before. The year before the vote came up,
right?
Where I heard about something, and I knew Keith because I had another issue I was doing at the town. I was trying to get the funding formula to get Edison more funding and make it fair. And, I went to Keith to see if he knew anybody that could help me, and he did. He set me up with someone down in Trenton. Worked out great for us. We ended up, getting additional $20 million, I think, to the state. So it was a good thing. So I went to him with this and said, hey, can you look into this? And, where is this going? And that's kind of, he started digging. He was a detective.
Well, I could tell you I forgot when it was exactly when Keith, you told me about it. And it was when you explained it. And it's a complicated deal, but I remember the one thing that caught my mind was the money, the amount of money that would have been given to us, a loan taken out. But that was early on, and you put together a plan. Take us through the process when you found out about it, and then who did you contact, and how did you go about starting this?
The first thing when we really caught him, everybody was denying it, and nobody knew anything in town hall. None of the council people were even aware of it.
Wow.
And then through an Oprah request, I got some documents where the township attorney, Bill Northgrave's law firm, was being paid on a monthly basis. For about 2 or 3 years, they were negotiating this deal.
Wow.
So once I got them Oprah request documents, it was apparent that there is definitely something in the works here, because the township attorney was billing, $5,000 to $10,000 a month for, a couple years prior to this coming out. So that's when it started to become serious. And then we started reaching out to people and putting it on social media. And once people found out it was Suez, they started very quickly doing their own homework. And if you look at what's going on just recently with Jersey City and Hoboken, they're trying to get out of these deals. And Bayonne, I think they said it's going to cost, if Bayonne was to buy their way out of it, it would cost them $300 million. So these guys really kind of made a deal with the devil, and they're stuck dealing with it right now.
I know I've spoken to the mayor. You've spoken to him. I don't know about you, Rich, but he's even pleasantly surprised how well it's been run, and it has run pretty much effectively. We're getting our water from the same source. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Same source.
I mean, it's all so. But what's been even more, I guess, a bigger news is on this past week on Wednesday, I believe it was, Councilman Brescher, the council had their big budget vote. You want to take us through that? Did the budget pass?
Budget
correct?
passed.
All right.
I think it passed 6-7
Okay.
or 6-1.
There was.
I think Sam didn't vote for the budget.
Okay.
but the sewer and water, the rates stayed the same. And so the mayor was able to invest millions in our infrastructure, right? And not raise the rates. It was a good thing. I mean, I have to say, he was against it, and as the head administrator for the town, the mayor, he worked full time in trying to make it happen.
Right.
Right.
Well, and that's what we asserted from day one was the real talking point from the beginning was the town was going to get a $105 million upfront revenue stream at a guaranteed minimum rate of return of 11% from the billion-dollar private equity firm KKR. And that just didn't sit well, and that really resonated with the people. But we said from the beginning, it could be run better, and you could save a lot more money and not have the rate increases and still contribute to the infrastructure, which we're only 2 years into it. The mayor, like Councilman Brescher just said, has committed millions of dollars to infrastructure improvements, and there's no rate increase. So in year 2, it's already been a success. But I think we have to go back and look at how that happened. And Councilman Brescher, you could probably comment on this, but they had water pipes that were running into the Raritan River where the water was just flowing 24/7.
Jeez.
They don't know how long. There's apartment complexes in town where they had bypasses.
I remember that, yes.
Where they had bypasses. And I spoke to people, and they actually said they were contemplating criminal charges, but they don't know who to charge. But apartment complexes with multiple units where they had a bypass around the water meter. So that means these entire complexes were not paying water or sewer for the last 50, who knows how long. Who knows how long. Right. So they're fixing a lot of these problems that have been neglected and not looked at over the years. And there's a dollar value to that. They're actually saving money. I mean, just imagine how much it costs to have a water pipe running into the Raritan River 24/7, 365 days a year. You're paying for that, for no reason other than mismanagement, So I have to give Bob Smith credit for fixing a lot of these problems.
No, he has. He's really digging into it. A lot of the items that we approved are items for him to monitor and then evaluate the system. Because we do have that I&I problem with the sewers. But we don't even know how bad it is unless you have something that you can make readings from. Right. So he's getting set up with that, and making the repairs. The job that he's doing there, being that he's, just been there, I think he's doing a great job for us here in Edison.
Right. Excellent. Now, you mentioned zero rate increase, correct?
Yes.
With water. How does that compare with the track record of Suez with rate increases?
Suez, if I recall correctly, was like a 5% increase, like every year.
Yeah, was it
guaranteed minimum? Guaranteed minimum.
Right. It was
that's I remember. I remember that.
If there was any repairs or needed infrastructure improvements, it went up higher.
It went up higher.
Yeah, so it was actually 4.9% minimum. It was going to go north of that with any repairs or infrastructure improvements. Right,
and here we are now with the new Edison water utility, correct? And,
yes.
And with a 0% increase, that's a fantastic. It's a fantastic thing for the consumer.
Well, especially when people said it couldn't be done, there was plenty. I mean, there was a laundry list of people that just didn't believe in it for whatever the reason. And you guys backed it immediately. So I mean, there was a lot of help. And my question would be, to both of you, but Keith first, what made it so successful? You think? What was why did it catch on? I have my reason, but I'd like to hear from you guys.
I think it was really a bipartisan effort. Right. You had Republicans working with progressive group like Food and Water Watch and Junior Romero. Right. So originally I talked to Councilman Brescher. Sam was one of the first council people I talked to. And he said, he gave me the company line. There's nothing that could be done. It's the mayor's prerogative, and we can't do anything. And as we went out and we got 5,000 signatures, Sam didn't even sign the petition. So I know he likes to try and rewrite history here when it comes political season. But the fact of the matter is he didn't even sign the petition that 5,000 people signed. Councilman Brescher signed it. Councilman Coyle signed it. Councilwoman Joyce Ship Freeman signed it. So it wasn't a matter of not being able to. Yep. That was a conscious decision not to do it. But we had bipartisan effort. We had council people. We had, outsider. It was just when you laid the facts out
Right.
and you educated people and you informed them and they understood what was actually going on,
Right.
they made their own decision. And overwhelmingly, like you said, it was 8-9 to 1. They did not agree with it.
And how much money did it cost us?
Zero. We didn't spend $1.
Not $1.
Not $1. And I think Suez spent $200,000 or $300,000. You know, people forget, but at that one time, they actually had the Suez people going out with the Edison utility shows.
Yes,
that's right.
And
the
mayor-
library incident.
At the library,
Yeah. Liz was up there.
Yeah, and the mayor actually had to come out and give a statement
Yes.
against it.
Yeah.
You know,
That was
He
crazy.
had to come out and give a statement against it. So
Right. Yeah. It was.
it was really like the little guy beating the 800-pound gorilla.
Yeah.
You know, and
Right.
that when it comes to local stuff, that's what it's all about.
Right.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
Rich, it was a success. You guys were smart enough to. Hey, listen, there was a big. You were in the middle of a very heated primary. You guys backed it from the beginning. I remember you were at the first signing.
We did. You know what
Yeah.
it was? I got a call. I think it might have been Keith, you and Jerry were there, that we met. You invited all elected officials.
Mm-hmm.
To the Grace Reformed Church.
I was the
our-
only one that showed up.
Yes.
After I heard and was looking at the data that they were giving us,
Yeah.
you know, I went back to the other people running for council at the time,
Yeah.
other council people, and I said, you got to go to the next meeting. You have to hear it. You have to see this. And, you know, the council people I ran with, they did come, they looked at the data. Like when you looked at the data that they did, they had that report like this.
Right.
That was only on pump stations. There was nothing on the sewer system, which was hundreds of millions of dollars worth of repairs that are needed.
Right.
You know, so the report wasn't even complete.
Right.
They just all thought it was, you know, the same thing. They thought it was better and we could do it in-house. If you do it right, you know what I mean? You get the right managers and the right staff, you should be able to do it right.
I thought, I don't know about you guys, I thought the Suez, well, the first one was at the county college, and I don't think they were expecting and that wasn't even the big pushback yet, because there was another one at town hall, and that was the big one. I thought that they didn't look good. They looked terrible up there. As a matter of fact, they looked, I would say, miserable on stage, where they weren't selling their deal; they're selling their product.
Well, they came unprepared.
They came very. I don't. That's what I was going to ask. Do you
This
think
was
they
a-
expected the amount of pushback as we gave them, or no?
No, I don't think they did. And from the get-go, they said there's nothing that you could do. This is
Right.
the mayor's prerogative. The council can approve it, and the residents have no right to weigh in.
Right.
That just didn't sound right with me, and it didn't sit right. So after speaking with Junior Romero over at Food and Water Watch, he put me in touch with Renee Stonhagen at NJ Appleseed.
Right.
And she very quickly said, you know, you could do a citizen-initiated referendum.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and that's what we did. And she helped us put that referendum together. And we were the first town in the country, the first in the whole
Yeah.
country,
Yep.
to actually, by citizen-initiated referendum, ensure that our water and sewer will remain publicly owned and operated. You know,
you
so
go.
it was a big victory for us. It was a huge accomplishment
Yes.
for Food and Water Watch.
Absolutely.
You know,
And I remember the day after. So the petition was, to say no to Suez, but the vote, which scared me, was we had to vote yes though. So
Yes.
that was that was a tricky part. So
well,
Yeah.
and if you remember why, because you can't have a referendum to vote no for something. It
Right.
has to be to vote for it.
yeah,
Right.
So although the
Right.
whole campaign for 4 months was say no to Suez,
that bothered me.
we had to vote yes to keep our water
Yeah.
publicly owned and operated.
Yep.
Yeah.
But that just shows you how in tune and how much people were paying attention.
Yes.
Because they didn't just say, hey, we're saying no to Suez and vote no.
Right.
They actually
Right.
paid attention, and they went in. And like I said, it was 9 to 1.
Right.
It was unbelievable.
And I'll tell you that meeting that they had at the college
Yeah.
was,
Which was Yankee opening day. I remember because Jerry, we went to opening day.
but it was exhilarating when I seen the residents, people I've never met in my life that went through those documents,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that they had issues that they found
Right.
that I myself didn't even see. So it was like a collective thing of the whole town going
Right.
through it,
Yeah.
and then once you looked at it all, it was a bad deal.
Right.
We actually ran. Well, we interviewed Mr. Brown, but we had Steve Brown who worked for Suez. Ended up coming in. We can say it now, but
Yeah.
he gave us a lot of insight. I never heard of the company before this.
Yeah,
but then I did
that makes-
research, and it was, you could just see the the issues that they've had.
Yeah.
And it was a really a no-brainer. I mean, it was
Absolutely too. And also too, it's a French-based company, right?
right.
Right. I don't even think it's
Not American anymore.
Yeah, it's not even American, so it doesn't, to give up control of our water supply to a
Right.
company that's headquartered in Europe doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. So with this whole effort, what was the biggest challenge? What was the biggest hurdle to get the people rallied, to get the votes that were needed? What was the biggest thing that was standing in the way that needed to be cleared for this to go forward?
I think initially the biggest, the general consensus was people laughed at us and said, "You can't do this. There's no way
You're not gonna
you're
be
going
able
to
to
do
do
this. You're not going to get the signatures. You're not going to get people to come out and vote. This is just something that's not going to happen." And we just didn't take no for an answer. And,
Right.
We had signing events in town halls almost every night.
But we had people
And-
outside shop. Random people would be outside shop, right?
Yeah.
I remember just willing to get signatures for us.
So
too.
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
nights 100 people would show up.
Right.
Some nights 2 people would show up.
Right.
But we just kept at it day in and day out. And Jerry would be in one place doing a signing event, Anthony be in another, I'd be in another.
Right.
And we just kept going. And then it shouldn't have came as a surprise to them, but it did. I posted the numbers. I think we both did daily on social media
Yeah.
where we were
Right.
at with signatures, or weekly. We were
Right.
at 200, 300,
Right.
500,000. And,
Right.
and as the numbers kept growing, I don't know if they didn't think we were telling the truth or, they didn't believe it. But,
Right.
it should have been of no surprise when we showed up on the steps of Town Hall and held that press conference
right.
Absolutely.
and walked in with 5,000 signatures.
Right. So 5,000, was that the golden number that was needed? 5,000?
No, we didn't even, we had way surpassed. I think we needed, it was
Three. I think
2,700.
2,700.
Needed
yeah.
2,700.
And, we well surpassed
Okay.
it. And we got enough to actually trigger the special election in September.
Right.
So with the initial signatures, it would have went on the ballot in November. We got
Right.
enough signatures to actually trigger the special election.
Well,
in
council
September.
Right.
had an opportunity, I believe, in that July to adopt the resolution. Is that correct? How did that work?
They did.
Council at any time
Could have just
can put something up for a referendum,
Right.
and get the voters' feedback on it,
Right.
and then implement it.
right.
Right.
But they, it was that this is going to go through, and
Right.
it didn't.
It didn't. So here's a curiosity question. Who know? I mean, I don't know. Is this the end of Suez in Edison? I have no idea. Has anybody reached out to anybody on the team? Be like, hey, look, we got Suez knocking on our door. What can you recommend for us to do? Has anybody reached out?
I don't know about that, but I going, because it is election season, going through the elect reports, I have found that the Suez PAC has given money to Assemblyman Karabinchek, who is giving, thousands and thousands of dollars to Councilman Joshi's campaign and his other candidates. So there's only one reason their PAC is giving money to local politicians.
I could agree.
They didn't take the loss lightly, and whether anybody's going to entertain it or not is another story. But
Right.
it does look like they do want to come back at some point.
Right.
There's a Suez PAC.
A Suez PAC.
Wow.
A Suez PAC. And to think that one of our local officials.
Did they not
would
get the
even-
message the first time? I don't get it.
Why would he even take the money from that PAC is
I
the
don't know.
question.
Right.
After everything that went on, why even take the money from that PAC?
That's true.
Tell
a good
them
point.
no. You just tell them no.
I agree.
You
I
know?
agree.
Right.
Especially after the week they, some of them had last week regarding the incident at Lincoln School, and that for
As we digress.
Yeah, as we digress. So it was. Listen, I want to thank you guys, coming in, and it really was a. I mean, making calls in the call center. Rich, you were there plenty. You stopped in plenty of times. You guys doing your thing through your campaign, getting us signatures. Keith, me, and Jerry. It was really just working together.
Let's not forget Jeff Bowden.
Jeff Bowden, yes.
He had people stopping in on a daily basis at their office.
But
He
Right.
set
yeah.
up a signature
Yes.
table at the office.
Yeah,
They
was
were
it-
open Monday through Friday, 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
Right.
For people to come in, and people did come in and sign the
We had-
petition.
But
Yeah.
we had regular strangers, but Edison residents coming in willing to make phone calls for us.
Sure.
So we had that
Yeah.
going on. but we really did. We had a lot of help, and it really was special to be a part of. And closing thoughts, guys. Rich.
Listen, I believe that it's the people that we're here to serve overall. It's not the corporations. It's not the builders. It's the people, and it's the people at Edison. And this here sent a message, I think, to the township as a whole, that if the residents get together, the residents can make a change.
Right.
And
Right.
I hope that continues. I see they're doing, with Glendale and Charlie Brown's and stuff like that. The more
Sure.
involved they
Yep.
are, the more say they're going to have in their government. So that's a
Right.
good thing.
It's a good thing. Absolutely.
Keith.
Yeah, I think this really has triggered some citizen-initiated engagement that we've never seen
Yes.
before.
Yeah.
Right.
Like Councilman Brescher just said, Silver Lake, the warehouse on Glendale, Charlie Brown's, even the Care One project
Yep.
up there on Inman.
Yeah, on Inman, yeah.
You have people that are paying attention, they understand what's going on, and they're engaging and fighting for their neighborhood.
Right.
That's
Right.
something for so long we just haven't had here.
Well, which is in Karabinchik's backyard. That's why he was at those meetings. I saw him up there.
Oh, with the Care One,
Yeah.
with
So-
the Care One. So I
Yeah.
think that's something that we haven't seen before. I think it's great for the people to engage and participate and really let their voices be heard. And I think, hey, we're going to see with my election this year, like people, if you're going to run for office, you're going to have to be responsive to the people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you're going
Absolutely.
to have to be held accountable by the people too.
And
Right.
be on the right side of the issues too.
Sure.
Be on the right side. So,
Sure.
Right. Absolutely.
Chris.
No, I mean, just looking, 1 year anniversary of this, the result of it, it just goes to show you.
Two second anniversary.
I'm sorry, second.
Yeah.
I misspoke. Second anniversary. my bad. Second anniversary. Just goes to show you the important issues are local. They're not national.
Right.
They're not international. Right. They're local.
No.
Right. I
Right.
mean, these are the things we really need to, really need to pay attention to.
Right.
And for those folks who really want to change things at the national level, right, you change them at the local level first, right?
Absolutely.
And tends to work its way up. But it was a great concerted effort, and kudos to all of you. I mean, I know that's actually how I met a lot of you.
Yeah.
Was actually through this the efforts for Suez,
Sure.
and so I met a lot of you, and kudos to the team and the residents for making sure that I got across the finish line,
Right.
And
It's a victory
that's
for
it.
all. So.
It was a victory for all. But Councilman Brescher and Mayor candidate Keith Hahn, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Chris.
Oh, no problem. Anytime.
Thank you for the invitation.
Oh, anytime. The invitation's open. And to all of you rather, who support Edison now, thanks so much for supporting us. And as always, we're going to be bringing you all the news that's fit to print that happens in and around the Edison area. And we'll see you again on the flip side, everybody. Have a great evening.
Check out Woodbridge now too.
And check out Woodbridge now. That's right. Good night, everybody.